we as Western people, we have this big void inside ourselves. There's this big gap of belonging, of community, of meaning.
If you are interested in plant medicine, this episode is for you. I would not be who I am were it not for the strategic use of the right plant medicine with the right guides in the right setting. But most of the people that study or support plant medicine today have this aura of inauthenticity about them. They're almost disconnected from the roots and the source of how this plant medicine is meant to be used, consumed, and celebrated. Enter Patrick. Patrick is a man of many expressions. He's a filmmaker, musician, spiritual seeker. He completely breaks the notion of the way plant medicine is portrayed, especially on social media. And he really grounds us in the way we should be thinking about using it. He recently co-released a film which we speak about a ton in the video, ESKAWATA KAYAWai, which I was fortunate enough to see here in Cape Town at the Lobby Theatre. The film shows the revival and intricacies of the Huni Queen. It was amazing to say the least, and it will be released to the public at the end of the year towards November. But before we begin, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video if you enjoy it. It really goes a long way to help me fund this channel and get future guests on. Your support means a lot to me. It's an honor to walk this path. And without further ado, let's begin this conversation with Patrick Bellum. Patrick, good to have you here, brother. Haux. I've been waiting a long time to have this conversation, so I'm really excited to have it, and I just want to express my gratitude to having you on this podcast. So thanks for your time.
My pleasure, Josh.
Can you explain the meaning for maybe my audience that doesn't know? Because I'm super passionate about the intersection between ancestral diets and mindfulness and movement, and really integrating all of these sacred things we've been doing our whole life together. And I kind of want to weave that into the conversation today somehow, which I think we'll get into. But can you explain the meaning of Haux to maybe people that don't know, or what exactly does it mean?
Yeah, so Hausch, it's one of these. It's interesting because if everything we translate from the Hacha Queen, most of the time there's not like a really precise translation, no, because it's so far away from Western languages, we could say. But people say that it means let the healing begin or something like that, no. And it's interesting because it's a word that back in the time, just the Pajés, the medicine man, the medicine woman could pronounce it, no? So not everyone could say this word because it's such a sacred word. But
Yeah, I won't lie. Actually, I thought to myself, should I even mention it? Because I've heard it's a bit taboo to mention it outside of a ceremony setting. So hopefully I'm not overstepping the boundaries there. But it's obviously a word that's traveled with me a lot, and it's not something I use lightly. I think our conversation today is going to be conducive to some healing in some way, shape, or form to anybody who listens to it. So I appreciate you elaborating on that, because I think we're going to get into that. There's this dichotomy and divide between the West and the traditional ways of doing things, and that's what's so beautiful about and that's what led me to this conversation, is the way you express it, and you bring so much heartfelt presence and understanding to this conversation, to that conversation itself. So I'm super excited. But maybe before we dig our feet in, how do you describe yourself to the world? Like professionally or personally, you can tackle that however you like.
man, so I don't know. I do many things, many different forms of expression. No, I'm a journalist. Somehow I ended up on this, and filmmaker. No, we have the ESKAWATA KAYAWAI, the film. We're gonna talk a little bit about it. So there's my music as well. I was born in a family with many musicians, and I had this blessing, no. So since I was like 7, 8 years old, they were doing the samba, no, on the meetings, and I was just there with the shaker already. So I got into that pretty early. I don't know. I write as well. I compose songs. Many different forms of art and expression, no. So it's hard to put in to put a label on it, no. But I feel that all of that is pretty much related to spirituality somehow, no, to this path of finding the truth and whatever that is and why we're here, no. My family, my grandmother, she started, it's like, because Brazil is something interesting because it's a big soup of different cultures and different ways of, especially regarding spirituality, you know. So you have influence from the Christianism, from the Afro religions, from the indigenous, and you put everything on, all these elements on this big soup, no? So my grandma back in the time, she started this place which is card cardicism, which is this way that came from France back in the time that works with spirits and entities and so on. And there was also some elements of Umbanda on it. You know, these same entities would come and do the healings and the blessings. And my whole family, they used to work on this place, no, to serve on this place. So they used to receive these spirits and so on. So I remember when I was a child, I would go there with my mom and I would look at it and I got a bit obsessed, no. I would see my family members receiving these spirits and acting different and their face expressions, their voice, no. And I would come to my grandma and what is going on? No, what is this? And she was like, no, no, don't worry, don't worry. And I was, yeah, but no, can you explain me? And my whole life I was asking her, and she would never explain anything. She would just grab me by the hand, put me sitting on the table, and she just concentrate. So because of that, somehow I think I started like getting obsessed about what was all that, you know, what is spirituality, what is the truth behind all that. And actually one big question was that if every all of that is truth, no, if it's like, how does that work, no. So I started very early, like, I don't know, 14, 15 years old, going everywhere and asking like, what is my mission here, what's all that, no. And when I was 18, I got into ayahuasca here in Brazil. And then after a few ceremonies, like on my fifth ceremony, somehow I could see like all this spiritual world that happens, no. And I was okay, so all this is true, no? So it's like big understanding, no, that it actually exists, no. So I feel everything I do somehow is related to this spirituality, no, to this bringing somehow from that place to here, no, this path, I could say, no.
That's beautiful, brother. Yeah, it's I want to dive into ayahuasca a bit more and the intricacies of that, but let's maybe start with the film, because just to give people context, you released this beautiful film explaining ESKAWATA KAYAWAI and the ways of the Huni and the sacred medicine of the forest, and how it's basically transforming it's reviving the culture in a way. But can you maybe talk about a bit about the film that you've released and the meanings, the origins, the why? You can go as deep into it as you want, but I mean, I'll obviously link it in the show notes, or I'll link it so people can check out where you are and where you're based and whatnot. And I don't know, is it available online at the moment to view, or would you have to go see it somewhere?
Yeah, not yet. It's
Not
gonna be
yet.
available in November.
In November. Okay, awesome. So I'm lucky enough to have seen it. I saw it here in the Labia Theatre at Cape Town, and this was after the ceremony which you were in, and I would maybe speak about as well, which was probably one of the most transformative experiences of my life. But yeah, let's maybe just dive into the film. Let's go. Let's start there.
So yeah, if we go on this timeline, from this moment of that ayahuasca entered my life. No, back in the time in my city, there were no. It wasn't common for indigenous to come, no, and do ceremony and so on, as it now in Brazil. It's super huge. So there were these places where you would go, lay down on a mattress. They would put like a playlist, and you would be there, no, 4 or 5 hours. And the first moment that the ayahuasca, that the Honey Queen arrived to my city, it was Pajé Sabino, no? He's this elder from Jordan River, and it was him and his son. It was like the first time his son got out of the forest, and that just blew my mind. It was something that I couldn't believe, because back in the time I didn't know that people could sing, on that, because for me it was so strong, and I didn't know people could even sit. For me, it was something you drink the medicine, you lay down, and you just go, no. So when I saw that, I got blew my mind. I was, man, I need to find a way to see what's that, or to see what's there on the source, no, to meet these people, to see how they organize themselves and so on. So me and Lara Jakorski, she's the other director. We we have a film independent company that is just the two of us together for many years, and we were doing short films, traveling around in Asia, here in Latin America, and mostly like social films. So this was something that we had experience with, no. So my idea was to go there, no, to find a way to go there and to see what's up in there. And it was also another big dream to see how these people organize themselves, no, kind of out of the system, but how the human being can organize themselves in a community with different ways, different paths, no. So I sent an email to the ESKAWATA KAYAWAI festival, to Vini. He was the one responsible for the festival at the time, and my idea was to make a short film on the festival, no, as we were used to do, no, just to go there, participate, and give something back, no, as an exchange. So, but when I got there, I saw that there was so much, no. I think there was a big gap between, I mean, people going to ceremonies and seeing this side of the Queen, no, on medicine, on music, and so on. But I felt there was a gap of their culture as a whole, no, how they live, how they survive, what are the other aspects of their culture, the stories, the things that are not necessarily related to the medicine itself, no. So I came back with the footage, and Lara watched it, and she was also, man, we gotta go further into that, no, we can make a full film about it, no. And then we started a crowdfunding. We had more than 300 people that contributed, no, for this to for us to be able to do this film. So like also to thank all these people, no, it's always very important. And then we went back on the forest, and then the whole thing started, no. It was 4 years filming, back and forth, no, going to the village and coming back, and 2 years of post production, editing, coloring, sound, and so on. We had many partnerships on the way, because just the logistics, no, to go there and film, and the village is located very far away. You arrive in Rio Branco, in Acre. Then from there you gotta get like 5, 6, 7, depends on the road conditions. Drive to this community, to this tiny little city, and then from there, it's, at the time, with the boats we could afford, it was 4 days going up the river, no?
Wow. 4 days. Wow.
Yeah, so just the logistics behind it are already a lot, no? You gotta find a driver, you gotta take all the fuel, you gotta be paying for the driver as well, take all the food that you're gonna consume up there, no? Taking gifts for everyone. So it was a big process, no? Um, so yeah, the film basically tells the story of the Hunikuin from this river, no? Which is the Humaitá River. We started with Novo Futuro, which is the village of Pai da Mata. He is the chief, the leader, and and we wanted to contemplate all the villages from the same river, no? So we came up with the boat and we stopped in each village, no, for all of them to participate on the film. And the film tells pretty much their story, no? They came from a place of back in the 1890s. There was a big demand for rubber, no? So many people from all over the country were going to the state of Acre to work taking out the rubber from the trees, no? And with that there was a big demand for working power, no? And they started hunting the indigenous with dogs and enslaving them to work on this rubber industry, no, that was coming up. So many of them, they would do like a tattoo on them, and they would belong to this family, no, to this person, to the owner, no, of the rubber thing. And then back in the time, they were not allowed to practice their culture, no. They were not allowed to sing their chants, to do their ceremonies. To They would also split their families many times, so they had they could somehow limit their power, no. And and I feel that from that time there was like a big scar, no, that like a lot of prejudice against them and so on. And in this specific river, I mean, each river have a different story, you know. Things happened in a different way. This specific river, they got really far from the culture, no. I don't know if we can say that they lost it because it's something so deep within them, but they had to take it back, no. So there was a point where alcohol and the evangelicals, the church was super strong in the villages. And I know that a few of them, they had an experience in Santo Daime that was very relevant for this change, that where they could see how the village was before, no. They could see on the medicine all the people in a big circle and the Pajé in the center singing and so on. So they decided to gather this new generation. They decided to go back to the roots, no. So they kicked out the church, they banned alcohol, and they started this work of rising the culture again, no, living as their ancestors used to live, no. So the film pretty much tells this story, but also get into nowadays, no.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's so telling. And you mentioned, what's beautiful is you mentioned like the medicine being, it's just one part of the culture, and there's so much more to it. And I think western the western side of things has idolized this, the medicine, as just the medicine, and you take it and it will solve all your problems. And but there's in the film, so beautifully depicts the realities of community, spending time in the forest and nature, and all of these things that contributes to the well-being of the society, not just the medicine. And you spoke about when you took questions at the theater when I watched the film. You spoke about people not becoming one of the huni, as they tend to do when they go into the forest and spend a week with them in their ceremony setting. It's so easy for a Westerner to come in and now become like a self-proclaimed shaman or Pajé. Can you maybe speak to that a bit more? Because I think this is super important and worth stressing. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I feel that the film somehow takes all this, the Honeyqueen and their way of living. The film put it all that into a very romantic place, no? Because you watch the film and everything looks amazing and everything is beautiful, it's full of colors, and you see how no everyone is happy and well organized and there's a lot of meaning, no? So so we got into this big crisis on, man, how this is going to contribute to this not this commercialization of ayahuasca, this banalization of ayahuasca and also cultural appropriation, no? Because the message we don't want people to get from the film is, okay, so let's just go there, no? Everyone is happy there. We drink medicine, we hunt, we fish, and life is perfect, you know. So so I feel this responsibility, of bringing people back to the ground after the film, no. I feel that it is as important as the film it is, no. So so I personally believe, man, that we as Western people, we have this big void inside ourselves, no. There's this big gap of belonging, of community, of meaning, and we can easily get trapped into going, I don't know, within any indigenous community and seeing how accepted we are and how much they let us in, no, and easily get mistaken that, okay, so now I found my tribe, no, my people that I've been looking for all my life, because where we come from, we don't really feel that we belong, that we are part of all that, no. And so I feel the danger of filling up this void with this, no. And the reality is that we, at least me and yourself, we are not indigenous, right? And people that are not indigenous, they were not born as indigenous, probably for a reason, right? I believe that if we were supposed to be indigenous, we would probably be born in a village, you know. And and then comes with that, within that, there's many different questions and subjects which things are get very delicate, you know. Just as we were talking in the beginning about the word house, you know. If we see today, man, there's all kind of people using this word for all kind of things, you know. Not too long ago, there was a someone started a beer company, and the beer was called the House.
Oh wow.
And everyone was like, man, you know, how can you be so stupid to do something like that? You know? And you can see all kinds of cultural appropriation, and and the thing is that when this happens, this culture becomes a product, you know. There's the that's the tendency somehow. People start selling this culture, and then meaning just goes away, right? Becomes something superficial and sellable. And this without saying that probably the biggest problem within all that would be people, going to the village, staying there for a month or so, and buying like big feathers and so on, and coming back home. Okay, the medicine told me that I need to start serving ayahuasca in my country, and and this is completely nonsense. And then from this place, you see all kinds of abuses of, you know because all this is super serious, no. And And then we came to the time of this industry of ayahuasca kind of taking place. No,
Mm,
I like when you said about this whole context. No, and I really believe that we need all this context
mm,
for ayahuasca to be in a healthy place. No, to sprout healthily. No, as a seed. No,
mm,
because we see that many research nowadays they go there with this very scientific Western mind. They go and they take out this molecule, no?
mm,
So we look to all that, no? We have the forest, we have nature, we have community, we have tradition, we have culture, we have family, and they go with in all that and they take out the molecule, no? Let's take out just DMT and research this thing, no? And do tests and do I don't know all the research with this molecule, no? And and then I see the danger, man, of on taking this out of context, no? Because somehow there's a need of all these elements for this molecule, no, to work in a healthy place, no.
mm,
Uh, and then you come to the place also that most of these researches don't have any indigenous involved and so on, and you know, I cannot say all of them, but the ones I've the ones that have been crossing my path, they all come from this mentality of psychedelics and LSD and so on. And
mm,
but we forget that this within the context of ayahuasca, there is a very ancient and high technology that these guys have have access to. Know that it's important to take in consideration, right? On
mm,
how to navigate these different realities.
mm,
And and I feel that at the same time I say this, it's important to say that it's not something that all of them have, no. This is
mm,
something that probably they a few are born with, no. But anyhow, it's something that is within the tradition, no.
mm.
So so I feel it's important to take in consideration.
Yeah, there's, I think, yeah, the importance of ceremony and doing these things in a ceremonial setting and with the right people is can't be understated enough. You know, it really it has made me, and I'm it's I've been called to want to do the medicine for a long time, but I always promised myself that I would do it in the right environment, and fortunately that showed up in my life, and you were there and you were present, and it was amazing. And like I said, it was so powerful and so overwhelming, and I felt this deep sense of responsibility because I can easily see how people who may not have the self-awareness that's needed, that can experience what I and yourself or somebody else has experienced, and now you develop this godlike complex, and you now think you are enlightened, and you now are here to share this, and that's your mission. But there is a deep, deep sense of like responsibility and respect that comes with taking yeah, the mother of the forest, the sacred medicine.
Yeah, I feel that the plant, I mean, also the plant, and I think we could also say that these ancient, these very old traditions, they are beyond polarity, no? Like this concept of good and bad, of right and wrong, no? That probably come from a Christian no way of putting things. So I believe that this plant, she just puts you there, no? And if you have someone that I don't know doesn't have good intentions, or either it's not prepared as it should be, things can get really really messy and just bring people more trauma and more things to deal with, and when I say all this, I don't mean that only indigenous should be serving this medicine, no. But I know many Western people that really do a good job, and that are responsible within doing that. But I see that all of them are somehow learning from indigenous and taking them in consideration, right?
Mm.
Because I believe this path, man, to do that, it's something that is not pleasurable. It's not something that it's that beautiful or that romantic as people see,
Mm.
feel it's probably one of the hardest, to really dive deep into your spirituality, into darkness and so on, no? And the more you take, the biggest the responsibility comes, and the tests also come, no?
Mm.
And it's really easy to just lose your mind in the process and get lost, somewhere within all that.
Yeah.
And I personally feel that just to be sane nowadays with all we have is already hard enough, right?
Mm.
Rather than to get so deep into all that.
Mm.
There are many people that go to the forest to diet, and I feel that this is very important to say, because people get enchanted easily, by this medicine, by these cultures within the medicine, and they just go and diet. And many of these indigenous, they don't really see if people are capable of it, if people have the right tools to do it. I mean, many of these families, they are in a huge need of resources, and so they just take some people in
Mm.
to cover that.
Mm.
Uh, and many people come out of the forest just disturbed, man, you know,
Mm.
for opening up so many doors and with these plants, and not being able to have a regular life again.
Mm.
And then we come to this place of the context again, no?
Mm.
Because if you're gonna go and spend 6 months isolated with some, consuming some plant, you have this whole community, this whole environment to support you after, no?
Mm.
And which is not the case many times.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on something there which I think is worth elaborating on, is because, as beautiful as the ceremony setting can be, and as beautiful as your experience can be, as profound as it is, it is just an experience. And what I noticed is, as a Westerner living in a Western world, living in South Africa, but you very quickly come back to reality, and you very quickly see things for the way they are. So it's not like there is. I'm very passionate about integration, and I've done a few plant medicine journeys. Ayahuasca was my most recent with you present, but you know, doing the work day to day is probably the hardest thing you're gonna do. Facing your demons every day. So not putting too much faith in the medicine and the ceremony to solve all your problems. You actually need to take the lessons with you and integrate them, and realize that the integration, the day to day, is the most important piece. Becoming a better person. I don't know what you think about that, but it's something that I think about often, because I see lots of people placing way too much value, on going and, hey, medicine solve my problems for me, and but most of the time it's just an escape. You just want to actually escape your problems. You don't actually want to face them. You know.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. I feel that the big work is here, it's on this side, no?
Mm.
Otherwise we would be there, no, just there, like naturally. Yeah, I feel it's definitely can be some form of escape, no? And yeah, the thing is that in the ceremony you have all these elements, no, that put you in this enchanted place, no? And And I feel that personally, I think that a lot that happen within the medicine is our own projections, you know. And I could say that most of it, no, because you see so many people that drink ayahuasca their whole lives, 30, 40 years, and doing all kinds of, basic misunderstandings of life, of all kinds of abuses and so on, and just like regular people with a dark and a light side, no.
Mm.
So so it's not a miracle that the medicine is gonna do the healing, or probably gonna show you something, and you gotta work on it by yourself, and apply the changes.
Mm.
And then comes the big integration, right? Which is probably applying all this into your life, no.
Mm.
I feel somehow that ayahuasca has the power to like a restart, many many functions within
Mm.
our social lives, emotional lives, interior lives, no. If we can say that the plant brings new connections, no, in our brains, we can say that gives us the opportunity to open up new paths and different ways of living life, no.
Mm.
So then integration becomes a essential thing on the process, right?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. That was a very beautiful way of describing it. So the one of the beautiful things that I love seeing in the film was you showed the depiction. You showed the huni hunting the deer and holding it on their back and walking through the forest. And I mean, me personally, I love that you showed this, and I want to know if it was intentional because I'm very passionate about eating ancestrally. Eating lots of quality grass-fed meat and fruits, staying away from packaged food and stuff. But I believe that plant medicine and meats and quality meat can live together, and I think it's essential. Because the reason I'm saying this is because especially now amongst the plant medicine community in Cape Town or globally, there's this like almost this vegan agenda behind it. It's like if you do plant medicine, you have to become a vegan now, and you have to do certain things that align with the plant medicine. And you showing that in the film was the prompt for me to be like, wow, I really want to speak to this guy. I really want to speak to Patrick, because this is cool, because this is exactly what I think needs to be shown. And I was looking in the audience, and a few people were like, whoa, this is the realities of living in the forest. But never mind just the forest. I mean, this is the realities of living an integrated life, is that you need to fuel your body with what it needs, not just depriving it of one source of fuel. So yeah, was that intentional, or what was the meaning behind showing that in the film? I would love to know.
Yeah, so actually this scene is funny to say that there's the whole scene of him cleaning the deer,
Mm,
opening
mm,
up, taking out the parts inside that are not used, taking out the skin and so on.
mm,
And I put it on the film, no. And then Lara, she was like, "No, man, we don't need to." She's a vegetarian, no. We don't need to have that on the film. And I was like, "No, no, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. It's nice for people to see it, no." No, no, there's not a need. And then we decided to cut it, not to get, to raise more, I don't know, more questions about it and more surprises, no.
mm,
So, but that part, I don't know, the way we work is like is how we see reality, it's what's happening while we're there. So it wasn't really something that there was put on the film with an intention regarding that, it was just something that for them is like usual, it's the routine, and we felt that was important to be shown, no? But regarding like diet, we can say that depends on the culture itself, no? And depends on, yeah, for example, in Peru, many traditions they don't really eat red meat, before ceremonies and so on, especially when diets, no? When people are doing diets, the there are many different elements that people cannot eat.
Mm.
But within the Hunikuin, in their regular life, they eat meat before the ceremony always. And I don't know if red meat, all of them, but definitely some of them.
Mm.
And for me personally, I prefer, because I feel that I'm more steady on ceremony, I'm
Mm.
more present. I feel that bef- I was vegetarian for many years, and I feel that back in the time I would be just like a balloon, no, being blown everywhere.
Mm.
So I feel that the meat kind of give you this different presence on it.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, and it makes sense. I mean, that's just, yeah, that sounds like again, that's the purpose of the film, is to show the Huni in their environment and in their day to day. And I think you perfectly depicted that. So
Thank you.
I really appreciated that. How how has how has it maybe served you in your life? Like, is there some lessons, some big lessons that have come through, if you're willing to share? Or like, what is your journey? You briefly touched on it, but what's the thing that you take away from, mostly, if there is something? Maybe there isn't, but how is working with the plant medicine, altered your life and made it better, or maybe challenged you, or
You mean working with the indigenous,
yeah, or but the medicine itself.
the
So
medicine?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man, for me it was a huge revolution. Huge revolution. I was, yeah, back in the time when I was like 18, 17, no, I was, I thought my mission was to destroy everything and put fire on the whole thing, because I feel that I was just so sensitive and so afraid of the whole thing, and that I looked at it as, man, we just messed up as a society, as humanity, and probably we should just put fire on everything and compose it and see if something better grows out of it, no?
Mm.
So so I was just wear black, and and as a also a rebel teenager and all of that, and I really, yeah, I didn't couldn't really find a place for myself. And then when ayahuasca came, the first ceremonies was just like darkness and devils, and all this like pulling me, pushing me down, no, and I had no power or energy to do anything about it. So I was just melting down into all that. And then came a point where I could, man, I felt what love was, no? And I could see, like, I could, outside of my body, see this whole universe, and how perfect it was, no? It is, like, all the little parts just like a clock, no? And I could see that I was just a little tiny little dot of part of this whole thing, no? And I felt just so touched about it, and it just felt like so much of a big honor, and to be able to be given the opportunity to be part of this whole scheme, no?
Mm.
And and then for the first time, I realized that I could really be a nice person, no? I can be a nice person, and it was so, you know, so amazing to realize that I could be a nice person, because before I was always wearing this mask or something, no, we can say. So so this was a huge revolution that I that I'm grateful for my life, no? And then yeah, nowadays I can say, just this all these paths that this plant has opened for me as a person, as an artist, as you know, just give us so much on the comprehension of life and inspiration and creativity.
Mm.
And I feel that these plants, they give you also an opportunity to go deeper within your potentialities, no? So I don't know what full potential it is, but this these plants can definitely deepen your potentiality
Mm.
a lot, no?
Mm.
Into music, into art, into whatever. I don't know if you can say that with whatever it's related to
Mm.
truth, but I don't know if that's true, but you can definitely, you know, develop.
Mm. You mentioned music, and I think maybe you've got more of a leg to stand on this than I do. But one of the I want to touch on your musical journey. You briefly mentioned it about with the Shakers, but within the ceremony setting, a big part of the Huni's ceremonial way of working with the medicine is using music, and it's so fucking beautiful. Like I can't even explain how energetic, and it was just an experience that blew my mind. And hearing your voice, Patrick, like your voice was just, it was so amazing, brother. Like I was in tears. It felt like I was in a Disney cartoon, and you were just singing there, and the Pajés were just singing their hearts out. And like even just speaking to you now is a form of integration for me, because it's so beautiful to 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 relive that and remember that. But yeah, music's a big part of it, eh? It's a part of the journey.
Yeah, super appreciated. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks, man.
I feel that as a musician, no, the ceremony puts you on the place where music should be, no,
Mm,
because the music is running the whole thing somehow, no, and we can get into the place that it's all about vibration, no, and everyone is so sensitive and so open within a ceremony that the music just trespass you, no,
mm,
and yeah, for me it was funny because I started with like I had a grindcore band back in the time. It was not really a band, but was a project of a band that we were always no, we never really performed to anyone, but we were always playing together and shouting and this whole thing. And and then yeah, I had a there was another project which was like instrumental, just instrumental music with some other friends. And then when music came into this place of ceremony, I was super shy to sing, you know. Like, man, I don't really, you know. And there was this specific ceremony where everyone was singing, and it was just so beautiful. And I was, you know, I really want to sing, and I was like, "Ugh." And I had like a singing bowl, and then came to my mind, man, I'm gonna drink one more cup, and I'm gonna sit and just throw myself in, you know, just start singing. So I went up, I drank, I went back to my place. I got the singing bowl and just started improvising, know what was coming and so on. And this completely changed my life, man, because you can see what happens on the medicine itself, no? And I feel that we can just serve as a vessel to for these different energies to manifest themselves, no, through chant, through music, through drumming, for example, no? And there's so much beauty in there of just kind of stepping back and let the whatever it's there, if it's ourselves, if it's other different entities, but just experience that within the medicine that works somehow as a facilitator, no, for this
Mm,
process to happen. As you know, doors are open, so it's easier to let this happen.
mm,
So for me, that also a life changing experience. And then I started composing, and also there was a lot of influence from the Honeyqueen itself themselves, no, of being with them and being traveling with them and being playing music with them, but also a lot of influence from these African, Brazilian religions as well. So yeah, it's I think it's one of my biggest passions, and now I'm just this month I want to start a crowdfunding to record, my first album in I'm gonna record in July. And it's something that I've been, man, running away from it for many years, because I used to play in this band that was like jazz samba, instrumental. And then after making these songs with the guitar, and many of them they're super simple,
mm,
it's just these three chords and so on. And I was man, it was a big process to go over I don't know how you can say, I don't know if it's a shame or it was like, man, you know the fear of being judged, with which is so
mm,
stupid, right? Because
mm,
we life is so short, and we're given the opportunity to, if we have an art, we just put it out, right?
mm.
These fears and this perfectionism. So I finally got over that.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's amazing to hear. Like, it really is, it's like inspiring me even right now because, like I say, I've taken a big step away from my art form, which I believe is I'm a photographer and filmmaker at my day job, but I love speaking to people and I love putting out content. And a big part of me took a big step away from that, but the medicine has changed my life in the sense that it's given me my calling back, and it's shown me that my purpose is here to bring joy, and I'm here to serve, and I resonate with you because I have been running away from it, and life is so short. So why, why why put yourself in the what if situation? What if you did it? I mean, and I think there's something to be said, and I want to be respectful of your time, Patrick. I don't want to keep you here too much longer because I'm sure you maybe got something to do, but there's something to be said about just doing things for the sake of doing it, and just letting the art be art. And I even heard somebody after the ceremony mentioned, we should record the whole thing, and we should, this hasn't been taped or televised, but the beauty of it is being in the moment with everyone and being with all the energies and not having that recorded, or you know there's something so beautiful and sacred about it just being what it is that beautiful moment in time with all these people.
Yeah. and this somehow the right to die, give the this moment the right to pass, and not
Mm.
the need to be there for eternity or however we want
Mm.
to, right?
Mm. I
But
think, yeah.
I feel really happy, man, that you got inspired, and this is something that has been on my mind a lot lately. Since I decided to record there's nights that I just start thinking about it, and I can't sleep the whole night.
Mm.
Man, if is am I gonna be able to do this? Is those people are gonna donate to the project? Is like
Mm.
all these insecurities.
Mm.
But I feel that at the end of the day, man, if we don't start something, I mean, sometimes this thing is not the right thing, but it's something we put it out, we do it, and then from this another door is gonna open, and from this door things go to the place where they need to go, right?
Mm.
So we just gotta do it, man. We just gotta put it out.
Mm. Thank you, brother. I want to end on a strong note. I really appreciate your time, and I'll definitely link. I don't know if it's gonna. You said in June, but I'll definitely link because this video will be living online for a long time. I'll definitely link everything you've mentioned in the show notes and things like that. But is there any other parting comments you wanna wanna say before we put a wrap on this, Patrick?
Yeah, I wanna first of all thank you, for the opportunity to be sharing a little bit. It's a yeah deep pleasure to be sharing, and I feel it's very important to share these things about the film, about the culture, about the indigenous peoples, about the medicine, because I feel that there's this big industry of, I don't know if you can say wellness, but there's this big industry coming up of healing and put pretty much healing on this place of individuality, and then this becomes like a curriculum of healing practices or whatever, and people are spending tons of money within all that, and I feel it's very important to rethink, especially when we add medicine, when we add ayahuasca into the mixture, to think to rethink the direction we're taking within all that, because this mixture is really sensitive. So I super appreciate to be able to share the little bit I know about all this, and also, yeah, thanking Lara, which is the other director of the film, and also Paidamata and all the Hunikuin, that open up their doors for us to be able to share this film. Thanking also Tanya, which is
Mm.
the responsible there for the family from South Africa that received the film there as well. So just super grateful, man. Super appreciated. And also, if just inviting people to, yeah, to follow us
Mm.
on the social media is Kawata Film, and also opening up this crowdfunding for the music.
Mm. Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, Mr. Patrick. Wishing you a blessed day that side of the world. And until I feel
One
like,
more thing,
yeah, yeah, go for it.
just one more thing that came back to my mind that I remember now. We are taking small groups to a different village, to Pinuya,
Mm.
every year. This year is gonna happen in by the end of November. Most of the time is November, so everyone is invited,
Okay.
to to go there. It's like a cultural immersion we take from this place, It's not a healing retreat. It's not where you're gonna heal the traumas, but it's a cultural immersion
Okay.
within the Holy.